Welcome to our first screencast for the Mario project. We are going to start with the sprite to demonstrate the side-scrolling action. So the first thing we're going to do is create a sprite that moves with the right and left arrow key. So I'm going to use a forever if pattern. This is a compound conditional like we've talked about. So let's just get a sprite that moves to the right and to the left when we press the arrow keys. And I'm going to initialize the position of my sprite. And I only want it to move to the right and the left. So I'm just going to change the X and the Y. I'm going to change it by 1. Now, when I press the left arrow key, I want the sprite to move to the left, so the change of the X is going to be negative. So let's just test that. I'm pressing the left arrow key and the right arrow key, and our sprite moves. So pretty straightforward. Now, in the Mario game, the background is going to be a sprite. It's going to be a costume on a sprite, not a costume on the stage. So let me just import that costume. Okay, so now I have a background that looks like the Mario background. And this file is linked in the class log. It's in the intro to Mario, and you can use this or another background or design your own. There's one important thing about the background, and that is that it's exactly the same size as the stage. So you can see here it's exactly 480 by 360. And you can see with the crosshairs, it's exactly centered. I did this by editing this image to make it those dimensions exactly, and I did that in Pixlr outside of Snap. So I have my costume, and I have my code, and so this background will move when I press the arrow keys. Now, this isn't quite what we want for Mario. We want to get the effect that when the right arrow key is pressed, it looks like Mario is running to the right. So right now when I press the right arrow key, the background moves to the right, but we actually want the background to move to the left. So I'm just going to reverse the directions on this, and that's going to give us what we want. So when I press the right arrow key, the background moves left, and when I press the left arrow key, it moves to the right. And that is going to give the impression that Mario is running to the right. And I'm going to make these numbers a little bigger so that things move a little faster, and we can see this happen a little more quickly. The problem that I have now is if I keep pressing the right arrow key, the background just keeps moving off. And the left arrow key, it'll come back, and then I can move it off to the other side. Now, if you remember in the demo, it would look like the background was moving forever. As long as you held the right arrow key down, Mario would keep running. And the way we do that is actually just to check when the background has moved all the way off of the screen. We're just going to have it appear on the other side. So in this case, it's just going to look like this. So if the X position of the background moves beyond negative 480 or positive 480, then I'm going to do something. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do, and it won't make sense maybe at first, but then we'll figure out why. So I'm going to move to 480 and negative 480. Now let's just see what happens. So I'm going to press the left arrow key, and my background's going to move all the way off to the left, and then when it gets to the very edge, if I press it again, oh, it comes in on the other edge. And so I'm just going to hold down the left arrow key, and it comes back. And it works in the other direction too. And the only thing that's happening here is, so that as the x position becomes more and more negative, at this point it's almost all the way, and then the moment it crosses over, the image moves to the other side of the screen, right? Now this is still not quite what we saw in the demo, and the difference is that we have this blank space, right? And it doesn't fully wrap. Now you're going to need to figure out how to fill that space. I'm not going to show you, but the thing that you need to know is that you actually need another sprite, and the code is going to be almost identical, and the background should line up, and it's going to move to the left when the right arrow key is pressed, and to the left when the right arrow key is pressed, and it's going to wrap in the same way, but it's going to start at a different position. So if this one starts on the screen, the other sprite is going to start off the screen on one side or the other. It actually doesn't matter. And then you'll get that infinite scrolling effect. So this should be enough to get you started on the side-scrolling backgrounds for the Mario game. Obviously, if you have questions, just let us know.